Good morning. Nice to see you here, and I have met many of you during the evaluation process too. So it's time to tell what the results of our evaluation are. It has been a very good journey through the Finnish medical education. Why have the medical degree programs been evaluated right now? This is the first time ever in Finland, and the Ministry of Education suggested the evaluation. The Ministry of Social Affairs and Health was very happy about the idea, and there has been good support from all the organizations that are relevant: Finnish Medical Association, the Medical Students Association. The reason why this starts is that there have been organizational changes in the universities, but most of all, the major changes in the healthcare system, healthcare environment that we are meeting now. Digitalization, decision support means large changes in how doctors will be working in the future. Personalized medicine or precision medicine, whatever term you wish to call it, based on genetic information, is already changing how we deal with patients and their diseases. Teleconsultations, task transfer, there's the opportunity nowadays for a patient to visit his or her doctor in a chat, and that's a totally new way of handling medicine. And then task transfer from doctors to nurses, for example, needs good thinking behind it. We have very proactive patients. Patients come with a print from Google and to their doctors and say, why am I not being treated like this? Doctors need to participate in social media increasingly, and all these skills, all the skills that are needed in this environment should be given to the doctors when they are in training. Of course, doctors are never ready. It's a lifelong learning in our profession. But the basic skills that they need should be very clearly given by the university training. And then, last but not least, the upcoming SOTE reform will require that doctors are ready to work in multi-professional groups, lead those multi-professional groups in the new environment. The framework of the evaluation was given to us by the Finnish Evaluation Center, Karvi, and they have coordinated this very well, and I really want to thank you publicly for all the support and good thinking and understanding of education that you have provided to the group. The planning group, as we heard, has prepared the program for us, and the university representatives have been in the planning group already saying, how should we be evaluated? This is an enhancement-led evaluation, like Harri said. Participation and trust are essential parts of it, and in the end the universities are the ones who are going to make the change. So it's self-enhancement they are going to do. The evaluation group, when we started our work and got the experts in medical education from 3 foreign countries, one thing that we decided from their suggestion was that we also added selected World Federation for Medical Education quality improvement standards as part of the evaluation, and I think it made the evaluation even better than it would have been otherwise. The aims of the evaluation are to describe the current state of medical education in the 5 universities, to look for the strengths in these programs, good practices, but also to find how much variation there is. Universities are independent units, and they have developed 5 programs to rather different directions, actually. You could see quite a lot of variation. I think everybody was surprised at how much variation there was. And we have given recommendations for development to support the university's own work in how to make teaching even better. And there's a nice song from the Hobbits, "The road goes ever on and on." If you go look at these slides later, you can hear and remember that it's a never-ending story how you improve education and think of the curriculum. The perspectives of evaluation, we have heard 4 different stakeholders here to get a comprehensive picture. The university administration, medical school administration, medical teachers, medical students, and then the customers of the program, those who get the product from the universities, the newly educated doctors, the working life, whom Ermo has represented very well. And we have had a good dialogue between all these stakeholders and the evaluation team. This is the team that Harri already showed us. And what we have done. First, the universities provided us with summaries of their curricula. And the summaries were not short. When a medical doctor is being trained, there are 5,000 hours of learning over 6 years. So the description of all that is not short. The medical schools did self-evaluation, the students did evaluation of the teaching, and then we read other background materials. Thank you to Finnish Medical Association for providing a lot of useful information. And then we did a full-day evaluation visit to each school and interviewed these 4 stakeholder groups. That was really interesting. Thank you for very good visits. And then in March we had a seminar to discuss the preliminary findings, and we then finalized our report. So what are the results of the evaluation then? There are many areas of strength in Finnish medical education. All schools are very committed to improving the education. There are quality management processes in place already. They have identified drivers for changes, what is needed to be done. There are many good education practices to be shared, and from what I heard, the sharing started already during the evaluation and has already made some changes in the programs. National collaboration is increasing. It varies by specialty how much the teachers in each medical school are communicating, but they're increasingly sharing materials. They have made, in some areas, joint analysis of the core learning contents, which is really useful, and they are sharing teaching materials. And as we said, there's a very strong student engagement. That's what especially our foreign evaluators said, that it's unusual that students are so much involved in planning and evaluating the evaluation, and Medicinariliitto says yes here, the Finnish Medical Students Association. Another good thing that is not in all European countries present at all is that in all schools there are clinical placements outside the university hospitals. Students go to health centers, to regional hospitals, to see how it actually works out there. And there are different patients. There are very good clinical teachers out there, fine teachers as role models. That's a uniform feedback from the students. Areas of strength, and these are divided into the 4 areas that the planning group has given to us to look at. Planning of education and implementation of education here. All schools actually have a core curriculum content analysis, so they know what is in their curriculum. Student engagement is strong, national collaboration is increasing, and then we do have national evidence-based guidelines, current care, käypä hoito, that provide much of the clinical content. In the implementation of education, the good things are early patient contact, often in primary care. It's an important start when a coming doctor first comes to university and meets his or her first patient. It changes the role of the student profoundly, and it's very well done in all the faculties. There's a good variety of patient mix because the students have outside clinical placements, excellent collaboration with the outside teaching units. The universities train the teachers, they're out there in the health centers. And then there's a newly started joint digital study environment project for all medical schools, which is important in this digital age. Saves time for everybody. The two other areas that we evaluated are competencies and working life skills, and then continuous development and renewal. And the strengths here are that Finnish universities are good at teaching generic competencies, such as communication skills, for example, to the students. They do it very thoughtfully. There's good collaboration with primary healthcare, as I already said, and there are many good practices of teaching and learning. There's mobile learning in many places. There's self-reflection skills are taught, which is an important meta skill for doctors. And many schools do interprofessional collaboration already at the teaching levels. They teach doctors, nurses, social workers, hopefully, in the future anyway, together to deal with the complex patient cases. There's a good mix of methods and processes in evaluating and renewing the education. And as I said, there are collaborative groups that are developing national analysis of what should be taught to all students. And very active participation in the evaluation has been a strength here. We have felt that we have been getting answers and ideas all along the road. The development priorities. And the biggest thing that we have to say today is that there's an urgent need to develop a national framework on joint learning outcomes that aims at a core curriculum that is shared nationally, and the core curriculum should be taught with increasing complexity from the very early start. It is not enough anymore to have each specialty plan their teaching content. We need to aim at a constructive alignment in the teaching, and this is the difficult word. I've learned a lot about education in this process. It means that you map the program outcomes, that you map the teaching content, think what the program outcomes should do, and then you make sure that teaching and learning activities actually produce those learning outcomes, and that an integrated assessment strategy makes sure that every student gets that core content in teaching. Implementation of education. There is a lot of pedagogic training already for those who teach medical students, but everybody should get that. All teachers out there in regional hospitals, and there's variation in this. The students need structured feedback that supports their learning, especially when they are in clinical training. How did I do in this patient contact? What was good? Where could I have done better? And that needs one-to-one teaching from an experienced teacher to a student who's working with a patient. It requires time and resources. We need more shared e-learning activities across different virtual platforms. As we know, the IT systems are not always communicating, but we need to have the content, the e-learning content to be shared. One of the important issues is that internships, when people have clinical placements late in the medical school, they should have structured learning outcomes. We should plan what they need to do there, and it should be assessed. And then the strengthening of the interprofessional education that I already mentioned. Yes, ensuring the assessment of clinical skills and reasoning. Diagnostic work is the most important work that the doctor does in the healthcare system, and this should be ensured. More community-based teaching. General practitioners should be given even a stronger role in curriculum development so that they teach out there instead of at the university. They can also teach at the university, of course. And modernizing the curriculum with more research skills and evidence-based medicine skills and health economics and patient safety and leadership and management skills. There's a lot of pressure to add there, so we need to think where to cut down also, or how to integrate this so you do both clinical things and management things at the same time. And in the continuous development and renewal, define the Finnish doctor. What is a Finnish doctor when he or she comes out of medical school? What are the core knowledge and skills he or she should have? Shared national program outcomes to support the SOTE reform also. Input from active working life. We should listen to those who are employing the new doctors. And then considering the quality of education as a performance indicator, like they do in the UK universities. The universities get points not only for publishing, they also get points for how good teaching is. They have done that for 20 years, Chris? Something like that? Not quite that long. Anyway, long. We can learn from them. So, national core curriculum, making the 60-some different specialty areas into a compact whole so that we can weave them together. Core recommendations, defining the Finnish doctor, curriculum mapping and alignment, ensuring development of key skills, protecting the learning environment, and valuing teacher skills. And I look a little bit more into these, and some of this is repetition, but that's est mater studiorum. So currently we don't have a national consensus on what is a Finnish doctor, how we are educated, how they are educated, and what they should master at graduation. The structure of medical curriculum varies between the universities, and there's a table in the publication that shows, for example, the division of learning amounts that is quite large. We need a consensus on the skills, attitudes, and role of newly graduating doctors, and medical schools should together take a leadership in defining the Finnish doctor. They should agree on key curricular outcomes, and they should involve the key stakeholders to join in this development, to have a shared vision of what doctors need to know. A curriculum is 5,000 hours, as I said. It's a sophisticated mixture of educational strategies, teaching and learning environments, course content, assessment strategies and learning outcomes. And then it's each student's personal learning style and their timetable that also define what they actually take out of the curriculum, because all 5,000 hours are not compulsory. Without mapping the curriculum, it will be a patchwork of modules that don't discuss with each other. There's no clear progression or plan, and strong subjects can claim more hours and money. We know it is also a fight about resources. If we teach more, we get more money from the university. Not a very useful way of planning the contents. Curriculum mapping makes the key elements of the curriculum and the relationships clear. Mapping supports the alignment of teaching and learning and assessment. And for the students, it becomes explicit what is the scope of learning, how much they need to learn, what they need to learn, and in what sequence they should be doing it. And the result will be more transparent. Mapping makes curriculum planning more effective for all, for teachers, for the university, and for the students themselves. A doctor's key task is diagnosing, finding out what is the problem with the patient and how it should be treated based on the diagnosis. And that's why assessment of clinical skills and assessment of how well a doctor is able to reason in a real patient contact is essential for the learning. And that's why students need constructive feedback after real patient encounters. They also need readiness to think about new technologies with a critical attitude. They need the collaboration and teamwork skills and know how to manage difficult situations in a constructive fashion, and then sit down after the difficult situation and discuss with the team. How did it go? What could we have done? What should we do next time? We need to protect the learning environment. There's increased student intake and the budget and organizational change, no new teacher positions, and that has meant larger student groups, which means less hands-on experience. If you have 6 students looking at the patient who has a belly problem, everybody can get their hands on the patient's belly, but if there are 12 students, the patient is getting tired after number 6. Personal feedback, and then if students are getting problems, you need to recognize them early, do something. There's one university that has a very clear system that if a student is flunking exams, cannot follow the course, the teaching nurse picks the student up for a discussion and starts thinking with the student, how do we go on from here? And the necessary support and changes in the teaching plan should then be made. Valuing teacher skills. This is my other very strong message besides the curriculum alignment. Medical school teachers, like all of us, have only 24 hours a day for teaching, research, clinical work, and the rest of their lives. And we need to find new ways of appreciating teaching. It's not enough that medical students give them applause, the best teacher of the year. The medical school should appreciate teacher skills, give them positions to teach, provide them with time for learning how to teach, participate in training, and we need tenure tracks in medical teaching. We don't have any positions of medical teachers in the Finnish universities today, and I'm looking forward to seeing which university is the first one that establishes a medical teacher position. Centers of excellence in medical education are can collect the pedagogic learning. We have one in Finland, another was closed down a little while ago, and such centers could support systematic pedagogical training for all who teach medical students, and it would be good to see such centers in all the medical schools. We have given feedback also to each school based on all the evaluation materials. We have tried to do triangulation between the materials and discussions, and we have been weighing the comments actually from students. If students and teachers have disagreed, we have ended up in writing down the students' view. The final texts in Chapter 5 have been reviewed by the individual schools for errors and misunderstandings, and we first discussed whether this should be a public material, and then we decided that this is one of the really important outcomes of our evaluation, that each school gets detailed feedback and it is made public. The schools can use it in how to argue for what they need to be a very good medical school. And we really appreciate the time and sincerity and effort from everybody who has been participating in this evaluation. So what is the validity of our evaluation? Like I said, it's 5,000 hours of training over 6 years times 5, and we have not been able to look at every detail in every training program. We hope we have seen the forest from the trees. And our task was to ask questions and point out possible methods of responding to the questions, to the problems that the schools themselves have identified. Only each university can actually give a final answer to the questions that arise from the evaluation in their specific context. And like I said, they already have started doing it during this process, which is fantastic. We encourage evidence-based planning, dialogue and openness, which has been a very typical feature in all of this process. Good structure, looking at assessment and collaboration between the universities. And when you renew your programs, the major thing is keeping in mind the working life into which the students are being prepared. The universities could also look abroad, explore international examples in medicine, and one of the discussions that we haven't had really is whether medical education really is an exception in the Bologna process, and Chris will talk a little bit more about this in his presentation. Educating doctors for the future. We think, we are certain, that the necessary changes in renewing medical education can be done while protecting the unique flavor of each medical school. They don't need to be exactly the same. They need to have the same core content so that we know what a Finnish medical doctor is. But over and above that, they can do all kinds of things that are in their profile. And now that the medical students are applying to all the schools at the same time, they probably will be choosing based on what the profile of the school is, so that can actually be made more outstanding, clearer, when the core content has been defined. Collaboration among the faculties is very active and it's very much needed. Each graduate must measurably get the skills to start their work as doctors, continue to specialty training. There are many careers that the doctor can have. You can go into research, management, medical education, health policy, and all of the doctors, independent of which career they choose, they should enjoy the opportunities for lifelong learning. We are never ready in our profession. Ultimately, we think that the changes that we propose will improve the quality of the graduating doctors, increase patient safety, which is one of the things that Ermo has been continuously taking up in this process, and it will result in better medical care in Finland. Thank you, everybody who has participated in this work. And we have a few minutes for comments or questions. Yes?
You suggested quite strongly that we should have medical education. What was it? We should have a center of excellence.
Yes.
In medical education. Do you mean that each university should have a center of excellence, or should there be a national center of excellence in medical education?
That's a very good question that I think the universities need to talk about with each other. One opportunity is that there is a national center of excellence that has sort of satellites in the different universities. But I think all universities actually need people who are interested in medical pedagogics and trained in that to oversee what's happening, what changes are happening in the education programs. But it's up to you again. Other comments? Yes. Sara Launia.
Hello and good morning. I'm here on behalf of junior doctors in Finland, and I would just like to express our happiness or joyfulness in this report. It's very welcome and timely, and we look forward to defining Finnish doctor for the future, and we are very happy to see medical education and pedagogic skills so forward in this report, and we really think that this is something that universities should address. And also the leadership skills are something we are really hoping to see in the undergraduate curricula as well. Thank you.
Thank you. That is so true that the education comes up here in both comments, and we really need to think how to also thank the teachers for all the work they're doing. There's lots of teachers here in the audience, and you know that the feedback you usually get is that you have done so badly when you have flunked somebody, or when somebody, we don't flunk students, students flunk if they don't know enough. But the typical feedback for a teacher is, what should we do when a student has not passed the exam? And then there's the one teacher a year that gets a rose and thanks from the students. It's really, really not enough. Okay, we hope you can weave the blanket of teaching of the curriculum so that it works for all the students and gets them ready. And then, yes, Hannele.